Okay, so I've just been leading a couple of tracks at trulondon. There was a masterclass yesterday looking at social HR, and one more focused on HR and teams today. And the main point I'm making is that most of what we do in HR focuses on individuals. And I do a lot of work and on my blog and so on about strategic HCM, the idea that we should develop people for human capital in organisations. I do think that is important. But this whole idea of social capital, the white space between individuals, the social connections, the relationships, their conversations, I think is really important. And in most organisations, the organisation performs, succeeds or fails, depending upon how well people relate with each other, the teams, the communities and so on, rather than the individuals themselves. And I made the point yesterday that I just therefore find it interesting that if that's the case, why it is that 95% or more, I think, of what we do in HR is about the individual and not about the team, not about the connection, not about the social capital. So we measure, we try to manage the performance of individuals, not of teams so much. I mean, occasionally we might facilitate teams, we do things like 360, but in the main, the performance of teams is something we don't talk about or try to understand, and certainly don't manage to influence. We reward individual contribution. Okay, we might have a small proportion of a bonus which is about organisational performance, but we don't really get people focused on the whole mindset is still about what's in it for me, whereas I think it needs to be as much about what's in it for us, and using rewards to increase the team level focus within organisations. We focus on learning and development of individuals. We don't tend to get teams together thinking about increasing the capability, the shared mindsets, the shared understandings of people in the teams. And I'm curious why we don't do that. So in the couple of sessions we've been running, we've been coming up with different ideas, examples of some organisations that do more of this. And it's generated some really interesting conversation. I just think more organisations should do it, and we should do it more. This is we talked about some of the drivers. Getting more out of less, or at least of the same number of people. I think is a clear one for many organisations, and developing the social relationships between people is a huge source of untapped advantage to most organisations. I think the change in the workforce, the increasing familiarisation with social media, all of these sort of things is making this much easier to do than we've ever done before. And I'll finish with the point I made in the workshop. To me, this is the biggest, newest agenda for HR. This is the future of what we're doing. Firstly, because of the opportunity to impact on business performance because of it, but secondly, because of the way it changes the role of HR. Because I think as soon as we start thinking about enabling teams rather than sort of managing individuals, actually it shifts the way that HR needs to work and makes it much more of an enabler to providing tools and techniques and approaches for teams to do things for themselves. And I think it's going to be a really interesting time.